All right, so today is February 23rd, and we're just going to do kind of a quick overview of what we've talked about with our Movie Mash poster. We did do a little bit of an overview yesterday, so if we are looking at our calendar, today is a work day, and then tomorrow we're going to get into some title work, so don't worry about any text yet. So let's talk about the different tools that we've used so far. We've talked about our lasso tool for making our selections. We've talked about using the rectangular or the elliptical marquee to feather our edge, remembering that it's important to always set our feather before making that selection. We talked yesterday about refining our selection. On day one, actually, when we started cutting things out, we were using layer mask. So it is really important that I can see your layer mask. You probably think, well, why does it matter if I use a layer mask or if I just use an eraser tool? So I haven't even necessarily introduced the eraser tool to you, and I do that on purpose because I want you using the layer mask. The whole benefit behind the layer mask, so I cut the alligator out yesterday. If I look at it today and was like, oh my goodness, I cut his nose off, I would be able to get it back. Whoops, that's not on my layer mask. So right now I'm going to cut the alligator's nose off, and time is going to go by as I'm talking through this video, and I'll be able to bring it back later. So that is the goal behind using the layer mask. And I think truly for you to be a good designer and be able to refine your work, you want to be using those layer masks. So I am going to encourage you to do that. So I should be able to see that you're using layer mask. I know some of you, when I'm looking at your screenshots, I don't see any layer mask yet. Please make sure that we are using that skill. We will want to not have any white space, and you don't necessarily want to think of your white space just being as title space. One thing that I realized this morning that we never did as a class, we didn't look at any examples of movie posters. And at this point, I don't think we're going to go back and do that. You're welcome to do that on your own, but we don't want necessarily any white space. So you do want to think about the placement of your images. So, on my example, I definitely still have Mary kind of out of place here. But the same thing of deciding where I want to place Mary, I also need to decide what I'm doing up here. So one of the tools that we talked about yesterday was the clone tool. And on that clone tool, when we hold our Alt key down, we are taking a picture of the background, and then we are duplicating the image that we just had. So if I decide that I just want these trees to be up higher, I could do so. So just kind of a quick review of the skills that we've used so far and the direction that we want to be heading. Now I can a little from your original. Tell if you've used the clone tool. You're not necessarily required that you have to use the clone tool. I just find that it is a very applicable tool usually to this project as you are trying to blend your images in. So earlier I talked about the crocodile and about if you had taken his nose off. So now when I go to this layer mask, if I use white, I'm on the wrong one. No, wait a minute, what do I got going on? Oh, I'm still on the clone tool. There we go. If I use white, I can bring everything back right here. Now, of course, I did just bring background back, so I would then need to refine that image again. So I'm going to choose to use my lasso tool. And in this case, I did choose to keep the alligator shadow. And then what color am I going to put inside this selection that I just made? Huh? Black. Yes. Don't know why there we go. So I'm going to flip to my paintbrush, flip my color swatch to black, make sure I'm on my layer mask, and it is cut back out, select, deselect. So that's kind of an overview of some skills that we've talked about yesterday and last week before you have a work day today. Any questions? All right, go ahead and get busy. Have a good day. Let me know if you have any questions.